again, let's say here. What is a box office bomb? Well, according to the dictionary, it's basically a film that is unprofitable or considered highly unsuccessful during its theatrical run. Pretty basic. Even though that term itself only came about in the late 20th century. Indeed, if you were in Britain and you heard the phrase box office bomb, it actually meant just the opposite. Namely, a film that exploded at the box office. But whatever. And indeed, anyone who's watched as many movies as have seen quite a few duds. Yeah. Like Heaven's Gate. Even though, I have to admit, the film wasn't as bad as critics said it was, but regardless, it made no money at the box office. And of course, there were other films that did even worse, such as Sahara. And you say Sahara? Yeah, it was some film that Matthew McConaughey made and in the early 2000s. And the people, they spent way too much money on that film and didn't get nowhere near any money back. And of course, Disney, whoo-wee, let's just say they're definitely striking it out when it comes to movies. And it wasn't always that way. No. Indeed, back when old Walt was there, they rarely ever put a big old loogie on the damn movie screen. But of course, after old Walt and Roy checked out, Disney made a few, let's just say this, milk duds. Yeah, like Black Cauldron, for example. Yeah, precisely. And then, of course, they later made a real doozy of a milk dud with John Carter. Which was also a shame because that was actually based on a pretty decent book by Edward Rice Burroughs, but whatever. But this video is not so much about movie flops in general. This video is about one particular film, and that film is called Snow White, or if you speak German, She-Witchen. I'm totally mispronouncing the German, but that's basically how it comes out of the mouth. Well, anyway, I'm going to show you a snippet of a video from our old friend, Critical Drinker. And let's just say this. He's got his own opinions on this upcoming Snow White film. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
You know, watching the absolute calamity that is Snow White unfold over the past year or two, I'm reminded of those dudes up in the lookout tower on board the Titanic. They spotted the iceberg looming ahead of them, telephoned their warning to the bridge, even though they probably could have just shouted. I mean, it doesn't look that far. And now there's nothing they can do except watch as their shiny new boat plows straight into 100 million tons of frozen water. Uh-oh, the insurance company's gonna be feeling the pain tomorrow. The point I'm making here is that anyone with even a surface level understanding of the film industry, plus legacy entertainment journalists who like to pretend it still matters what they think, has known for a long time that this movie was headed for absolute disaster. Whether it was the baffling casting choices, the laughable DEI parade pretending to be dwarves, the nightmarish CGI monstrosities that replaced them, the hypothetical star whose complete inability to shut her mouth quickly and efficiently turned her into one of the most toxic celebrities in Hollywood, or every piece of official media released about this film getting ratioed so far into oblivion that it practically formed its own quantum singularity, vanished out of space and time, and emerged on the other side of the universe, Event Horizon style. Oh! The warnings were all there, and they've been discussed at length by every content creator on YouTube, but now at last we have come to the crunch, dear viewer. The last few days before the movie releases, when the old PR machine has to grind itself into high gear and take on the seemingly insurmountable task of getting people enthused for Snow Whites. And well, I think it's fair to say they've got some hurdles to overcome. Hurdle the first is the dire box office predictions, with the film expected to make just over 50 million on its opening weekend, which is only slightly higher than the Marvels managed, and that movie eventually struggled up to $200 million worldwide.
You play Captain Marvel.
I don't know. Does anyone want me to do it again?
Yes, Bree, I want that. I want that with all my heart. Not very good for a film with a reported budget of 300 million. Hurdle the second is the widely reported spat between Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler, because they clearly have very different perspectives on the whole Israel-Palestine issue, which means it's hard enough to get them to even share the same room, never mind go through the kind of excruciating, fawning interviews where they clutch each other's hands and pretend to be soulmates or whatever, which seems to be expected at this point. Damn man, all we're missing is some guy who sounds like he uses sulfuric acid as mouthwash to ask them about the gayness level of their movie.
The gayest Marvel project yet.
You know, the kind of big questions that clearly need to be asked about the art of cinema.
Yes, yes.
But the biggest hurdle, and this truly is a biggie, is that the film isn't even getting a traditional premiere anymore. It was reported a couple of days ago that the film's intended UK premiere in central London has been cancelled because of fears about the backlash to the movie and its star.
Oh no! What happened? Oh no, how terrible! That's just awful! How terrible! Oh no!
And to be honest, I can totally understand why they did it. The potential optics of Rachel Zegler and the rest of the cast getting publicly booed by a big crowd at the premiere of their own movie would be the sort of thing that goes viral within a matter of minutes. The problem is, this is kind of like digging one hole to fill another, because cancelling a major premiere means less publicity, and less publicity means less interest in the film. It's also a very public acknowledgement that yes, people really don't like our movie because we don't know how to win them over, and all we can think to do now is run and hide. That was all bad enough by itself, but then the news broke yesterday that even the film's US premiere is being drastically scaled back, which means no red carpet event, no real media presence, and no chance for the stars to speak to journalists and promote their movie. Red carpet events are actually pretty important media tools to promote your film, and the fact this movie isn't even getting one is a major sign of Disney's lack of confidence in it. Again, I can totally understand the thinking behind it, because let's be real here, putting Rachel Zegler in front of a hot mic is a bit like putting a toddler with ADHD in charge of a nuclear launch button. Every time she opens her mouth, and by God, she loves to open her mouth, you can practically feel the Disney bean counters dying inside because she just shaved a few more $1 million off the film's box office. It's funny actually, because she even tried to spin all of this backlash into some kind of weird positivity, a bit like Henry Cavill did with The Witcher, except without the sincerity, or honesty, or respect, or charisma, or general likability. Quotes: I interpret people's feelings about this film as passion for it, and what an honour to be able to be part of something that people's so passionate about. We're not always going to have the same feelings as everyone around us, and all we can do is give our best. Bullshit! Really? That's an interesting change of heart you've had there, Rachel, considering your previous attitude towards people who think differently from you.
Go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
Right.
The thing is, hiding a problem away isn't the same as actually solving it, and the more you retreat from a controversy like the one swirling around Zegler, the more you're forced to acknowledge that it does in fact exist, she's the one who caused it, and you don't know how to fix it. If you demonstrate a lack of confidence in your film and its star before it even releases, you're sending out the message that you know it's gonna suck, and you're simply trying to hunker down and minimise the damage.
Okay, you saw that. Now, of course, some of you are saying, yeah, he's taking a dump on a film that technically hasn't been released yet. And I'm thinking, But considering all the vitriol that's been happening behind the scenes of this film, you can't just ignore it. No, you really can't. Which is kind of a shame for what is basically a very popular Grimm's fairy tale. No joke. Indeed, poo-wee. I think it was like somewhere between 20 and 30 different versions of that film exist based on that story. In fact, the earliest one I think was made, I think in around the early 1900s. And before you even ask the question, yeah, don't even bother looking for it because it's considered a lost film, but whatever. And wait for it, it's been made in multiple languages, including Chinese. And you say, what? Yeah. Yeah, the people in East Asia, they make their own version of Snow White. Whatever. And indeed, I remember a version that came out in the back in the 90s with Sigourney Weaver, but she wasn't playing Snow White. No. She was playing the evil queen. And that one, I can't remember the name of it, but that one was actually pretty good because it wasn't really made for kids. Yeah. I wish I could remember that name of that one. And then, of course, I remember that one with Julia Roberts, where she was playing the evil queen with Lily Collins, that Mirror, Mirror. I mean, yeah, that one was ridiculous. Though I have to admit, the one with Kristen Stewart and Charlize Theron, that one was even more ridiculous. But who knows? Maybe this one with Gal Gadot might even leapfrog over the Kristen Stewart version, but whatever. And then, of course, you have to ask the question, why? Now, of course, some of you saying, oh, it's because of that damn Zegler chick. She just can't keep her damn pie hole shut. And I'm thinking, I'll concede that. I mean, as you saw in the old Critical Drinkers video, they said the woman is a walking, talking disaster. Makes you wonder how she got in Hollywood in the first place. And believe me, I don't think I really want to know either. That might be a very ugly story in of itself. But the thing is, this film was a long time coming. And you say, what? Yeah. Would you believe they've been working on this film for almost a whole decade? No joke. Yeah, in fact, they said that Disney originally confirmed the production back in 2016. And you saying, so why is it taking so long? Let's just say a lot of things happen in between. I mean, first of all, they didn't start actual principal filming until 2019. And then, of course, COVID happened and everything got shut down. And then production picked up again in 2022. And all the while this was happening, there was a lot of stuff happening in the background. Because, for example, the guy who made this film, Webb, you probably remember him from The Amazing Spider-Man. And you say, oh, you mean that one with that Andrew Garfield? Yeah, precisely. Now, right now, you're saying, oh, no wonder this damn film is going to blow. And I'm thinking, I think that's a pretty good estimation. But wait for it. Are you ready? The person who actually wrote the screenplay is this woman called Wilson. And the funny thing about this woman is she's been around for a while. Yeah. Indeed, this woman, I think she's in her 60s now. And she actually wrote the original screenplay for Secretary. You say, Secretary, what's that? It's actually a pretty good film. With James Spade. And I mean, you gotta watch it. That movie is actually pretty good. I mean, it's wild, it's woolly, it's kind of sleazy, but it's actually entertaining, okay? Yeah. And then the woman worked on a couple of other kind of weird films, like this one film called Fur, which is, believe me, don't bother looking it up. It's a really wild film. And then of course she worked on another film called Chloe, which was actually a remake of a very, very good French film with Emmanuel Blah. And you say, who the hell is that? She's a French actress. But anyway, it's a very don't bother with the American remake. Look up Natalie, 2003, Depardieu and Emmanuel Blah. Believe me, that's a really good film. But anyway, this Wilson woman, she worked on the remake. But the thing is, when you look into this woman's background, you're just doing these numbers. Why? Are you ready now? The woman went to school at a woman's college in Massachusetts. And you say, oh, yeah. You say, so what? Smith's College? And before you can ask the question, yeah, a liberal arts college. And you say, uh-oh. Oh, and it gets better. Because the woman is now a college professor herself. And apparently she's been floating around in the college circuit for a while. I mean, the woman was taught at Brown, Duke, and I think she's currently at Santa Barbara when she's not screwing up major Hollywood films. And then at that point you say, oh, shit. Yeah. And at that point you say, out of everyone in the whole cosmos they could have hired to work on this film, they hired a phototypical wokester. Some white woman who went to a liberal arts college and has a gender studies degree. And I'm thinking, but apparently she wasn't always woke. I mean, like I said, look up that film she worked on, Secretary. Like I said, that one is wild. No joke. That's actually a pretty good film. But I got to tell you, it's definitely R-rated, okay? So don't be turning on that film when you have your parents in the room because they want to know what the hell you watching. But anyway. And at that point, but anyway, as far as this damn Hollywood film this Disney film is concerned, yeah, you could say that this whole damn production was doomed from the start. I mean, you got a director who doesn't have a very good record. You have a gender studies professor writing a screenplay. And then finally you have one of the main actresses who can't keep her damn pie hole shut and sitting there saying dumb shit. Like, remember, I think you probably saw it. I think it was on Twitter X where she actually sat there and was saying, no, double plus good for the damn pro-Hamas supporters. Remember that shit? Forgetting the fact that her co-star, Godot, is an Israeli who served in the IDF. I mean, really? And of course, as you saw in Critical Thinker's video, the fact that they were able to get those two women on the same stage together for the damn Academy Awards was practically Jesus walking on the Sea of Galilee. I mean, they must have promised these women some serious money just to go out on stage. I'm not even joking. And of course, as you saw in his Critical Drinkers video, now they're not even going to have actual premiere of the film. it makes you wonder why. And no, I don't think they're worried about people throwing rotten tomatoes and cans of beer at the damn people at the damn premiere. I mean, let's not pretend. When they have those damn Hollywood premieres, the security is pretty good. So ain't gonna have no rabble rousers, no calls and a fuss. I think honestly, I think they're worried that Godot will finally get her dandruff up and just walk over and just slug Zegler right in the nose and maybe knock a couple of her teeth out while she's at it, with all the damn news media sitting there filming the whole damn thing. And I'm thinking, and let's not pretend Godot can beat Zegler's ass. I mean, have you seen those two stand together? I mean, good grief, Godot must have almost like a whole foot taller than that damn Zegler chick. So yeah, when you get right down to it, in a knife fight in a dark alley, yeah, Godot is definitely going to come out on top. No joke. And I think that's what Disney's really worried about. Those two getting into it. And as for the film, despite spending over $200 million, in fact, I think the actual amount, $240 million was the original budget. But then because of the reshoots, it's actually close to $270 million. And of course, before you even say the word Hollywood arithmetic, yeah, that's right. For every $1 you put in, you gotta get $3 back, which means at about 270 million, Disney is going to have to make at least $810 million. How many out there want to take that bet? Yeah, precisely. No way, Jose. But hey, miracles can happen. Because, for example, how many people remember Waterworld? That was considered one of the biggest flops in Hollywood history. And yet, that old Kevin Costner film officially is no longer considered a flop. And you say, what? Yeah, I was surprised too. Apparently, in the 20 years, actually, was it like more like, has it been 30 years now? Yeah, it's been about 30 years. In the 30 years since that catastrophe has been made, officially, all the money that was spent on Waterworld, it made all its money back. And then some. And now it's no longer considered a flop. And, wait for it, you ready? Other films that were considered flops are now considered, what's the cliche? A classic. And you say, really? Yeah. For example, remember Blade Runner? I remember Blade Runner. I remember at the time that the film came out, critics gave it 2 thumbs down. And wait for it, it didn't do very good in the box office. And how many people remember Heat? You know, with Pacino and De Niro. That movie was originally considered a flop. And you say, what? But Heat is good. Yeah, Heat was good. But nobody went to movie theater to watch it. And yet now it's now considered a classic film. And how many people remember The Thing? I remember The Thing. I actually watched it originally on TV. I liked it. And I couldn't understand why critics hated it. And of course, I remember seeing both versions of The Thing, including one with James Arness that came out back in the 50s. And of course, the films are not quite the same. I mean, they generally the same story, but of course, the the 80s version was definitely more graphic. But yeah, that film was considered a flop. And that's considered, like I said, it's considered a classic. And that also goes to It's a Wonderful Life and Citizen Kane. And you say, what? Yeah, those films were considered flops when they came out back in the past. Now they're considered classic films too. And wait for it, you ready? The Wizard of Oz. And you say, The Wizard of Oz? Yeah. The Wizard of Oz was considered a flop when it first came out back in the 30s, and now jump forward almost 100 years later. Now it's considered one of the, what do you call it? One of those films that's preserved in the damn Library of Congress. Yeah. Now, does that mean that this this Disney extravaganza is going to end up in the Library of Congress in 100 years? Stranger things have happened. Though personally, I'm not going to bet any money on it, honestly. But stranger things have happened. Just a quick reminder to all of you that my short story, The White Cat, is still available on Substack. The links are down below in the description. Join Margot Thompson, a beautiful stage actress and recent widow who finds salvation in the form of a white cat during a night of terror. And while you're looking up my oddball thriller, my book series, Glitch, is still available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other bookstores. The links are down below in the description. Join Ike and Sandra, a reluctant jewel thief and a kidnapped teen model who are on the run from the law across the American Southwest. Because Heaven Gate, for example, that film, which was considered a disaster, well, guess what? Jump forward 30 years and more critics are reevaluating Heaven's Gate and saying, you know what, that film wasn't that bad after all. However, this Disney film, considering how much money Disney plays with annually, this film probably won't sink the studio the way Heaven's Gates did. Because if you go back to that old history, yeah, Heaven's Gate was so bad that it basically practically put United Artists out of business. And of course, but then again, of course, stranger things have happened. Because if you've been paying attention to Disney, they've been losing money for years. And not just on movies either. We're talking across the board. The damn Disneyland, Disney World, damn Disney Plus, and points in between. I mean, these people have been just shitting the bed left, right, and center. So it's quite feasible that this might be the last straw that finally breaks old Disney's back. That could happen. Well, only question is this. How many people are going to waste their time actually going to the movie theater to watch this? No man knows the future, but you can look at trends. And even normies who probably are not terminally online hearing all this scuttlebutt about that film probably is aware that something's off with this film. I mean, what do you call it? Gut check moment. So it's quite possible that most people just stay away and wait for the film to come on Disney Plus. If Disney Plus is still around, of course, but whatever. And then, of course, some people might not even wait for that. They might wait for it to come on some bootleg sites. But whatever. But this film could be a teachable moment for Disney. Because, as you know, when it comes to people in Hollywood, Disney is the wokest, has the wokest of the woke. Yeah. And this could be the final straw that may not destroy the studio, but it may basically teach the people in the board of directors, what's the cliche, they finally find God moment and finally decide that they cannot run a successful business with these green and pink haired weirdos basically ruining every film project they're trying to put together, and finally, kick these people out. And I'm thinking, because let's not pretend the people who are at the top of the heap at Disney are businessmen. They don't care about social justice. They don't care about gender studies or third or fourth, fifth wave feminism or, oh my God, cultural Marxism, none of that garbage. All they care about is money. That's their alpha and omega. That's it. I mean, why do you think they're recycling all these damn Disney films? Remember the live action version of Aladdin? And of course, Lion King? And of course, oh my God, Little Mermaid, which I don't even want to think about. Yeah, these people are about money. And let's not pretend, if these people, if they have their epiphany after this film doesn't make its money back, they might finally decide that money is more important than social justice and finally kick these weirdos out of Disney once and for all. Hey, we can only hope, right? Well, that's all I gotta say about this Disney extravaganza. And that's my opinion.